Volkswagen's always been a big hybrid doubter. You almost get the feeling they kind of grudgingly brought out the Touareg hybrid. And that's why the price was so ridiculous. But now they've got a hybrid car worth consideration. Let's drive this 2013 Jetta hybrid, check the tech, and see if they've got the religion. Now, spot a Jetta hybrid, obviously, by the badge over here, but on the front you see it revised, a little more aero. The entire body's been smoothed a little differently, and if you lift the trunk, you know it's a hybrid. There's a big old coffin-shaped thing back there. That's the battery taking up a pretty good amount of your trunk space. Dead giveaway you get into a Jetta hybrid, even if you don't know it, you can tell quickly by that gauge on the left. No tack in these cars, a big old EV gauge. Don't be fooled by the numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, those are not RPM ranges. It's just some goofy thing they put in there to show you how much power you're tapping from the car. It takes up a lot of real estate. It doesn't tell you a whole lot. It's a very traditional boost or charge gauge. The usual crunchy 8-bit monochrome thing in the middle, that hasn't changed, and speedo and other gauges are normal. Now we get to our head unit. In this car, we've seen it many times before. The difference is when you hit the car button on the hybrid, you get to a bunch of energy or battery state displays. Energy flow shows you when you're charging, discharging, using gas or electric power. Zero emissions, interesting. This will give you all the time slices at which you are giving out zero emissions from the tailpipe. And then you've got your usual displays of fuel efficiency over time. The key here is to notice that number. We've been driving this car around for over 550 miles, and we're pushing 40 mpg real world. And we are lead-footed reviewers living in a hilly area called San Francisco. So that's actually a very impressive number. Now, the media sources are here on this little phone dial thing. It's an interface I've never gotten in love with. In fact, I hate it. Bluetooth streaming right there. We do have a nice display of meta tags. MDI refers to this little portable media interface, this little pigtail here in the glove box. Notice they don't yet have an Apple Lightning connector, so I've got to use my little adapter, and this is where it starts to get a little bit nerve-wracking. I just know that thing's going to snap right off. Your aux jack is right here next to these buttons. SD card slot, you're never going to use that. Radio's on a separate menu, as so many cars do, and you can go through your Sirius satellite stations very quickly. It seeks and locks rapidly. AM, FM, no HD radio. Because we have a high-trim Jetta, there is a navigation system here within this postage stamp-sized screen. We've seen this one before. It works fine, but again, it's kind of burdened by this overall interface on this car that I'm not in love with. Now, your one-choice gearbox in the hybrid is a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. This is a very interesting combination. I believe it's the only hybrid car yet that has a hybrid powertrain and a dual-clutch transmission. You normally find a CVT, maybe an automatic. You've got your gate over here for shifting as well. No paddles on the wheel are available, though. There's also a sport mode back here. Now, I got to hand it to VW. They didn't get lazy when they engineered this car. There's a ton of tech in this powertrain. 1.4-liter, little itty-bitty inline-4 with direct injection and intercooled turbocharging. Ford calls that EcoBoost. It's the rage in the industry right now. Coupled with an electric motor that delivers 27 horsepower. All combined, 170 horse, 184 foot-pounds of torque. Gets this 3,300-pound car to 60 in about 8.6, 8.7, while delivering an estimated 45 average MPG. As of our shoot today, there's not an official EPA number, but compare that to the much lower 34 combined on the TDI Jetta, which is no slouch. So you got about a third better mileage on this guy. That's a serious improvement. And all of that efficient power goes out through front-wheel drive only. There's no all-wheel drive in this Jetta, not the hybrid yet. And you've also got that one choice of transmission we saw in the cabin. It's a 7-speed, dual-clutch, automated manual. Now let's get on the road and see if it makes a difference, or if VW is just showing off what kooky combinations they can cook up. When you're on open road, it's actually quite rewarding. There's a lot of power, a lot of torque in particular on tap, and it comes on very consistently. A nice big fat flat torque curve as far as I can detect. The problem is when you're not on the highway or an open country road and you're kind of going on and off the power, you need to do the usual stop and go. This car is a disaster. It is so unresponsive in typical nibbling traffic that I just wanted to get out of it. Specifically, the creep function, when you let off the brake and the car rolls forward, is weirdly synthetic. So first there's none, and then all of a sudden the car starts to roll forward like it's got the idle set at 2,000. The other big problem is applying the brakes. You seem to get one level of braking, and then as you hold the pedal, you get another, and it's too much. It's like throwing out the anchor. And the power comes on in some weird stagey way like the brakes do. So it kind of equates to the worst turbo lag on Earth, even though that's not what's going on. I think it's electric motor lag. And then combined with that, this is not the VW suspension I'm used to. Maybe it's the additional almost 300 pounds of the battery and electric gear that's throwing off the balance. I don't know, but this is not my favorite Jetta by a long stretch. And in the middle of this mess of non-responsiveness, it seems like a waste to plant a 7-speed dual-clutch automated gearbox in the middle of all this. Hit the E-mode button and the car will stay all electric as long as it can, a little over a mile and up to about 45 miles an hour. Now, pricing a Jetta hybrid is a little annoying to me. The base car is actually the SE at $27,785 delivered. Now, you got to inch your way into basic tech by buying chunky packages. You go to SEL, for example, for another $2,300, and then they throw you a bone in the form of navigation and a bunch of other niceties. And then another $1,800 gets you to SEL Premium, which is where you got to go to get a backup camera. In other words, you got to go whole hog to get this car done CNET style. Just get a Jetta Hybrid SEL Premium that includes everything. A bunch of tech you definitely need, and probably some filigree you don't, but that's how they package it. $31,975 for a Jetta.